Hey there everyone, Luke here, and I apologise for the review not being out as quickly as it should have been. I've just been so tired, so busy, and it's been extremely hot this week. Like, I've been just like, oh my god, oh my word, okay, I've got to, okay, I'll do the review tomorrow, I'll do the review next day, but I thought like, no, gotta do it right now, otherwise I won't do it this week, and I'll probably do it as a double review next week. But no, I'm doing it right now. And once again, I apologise for this review coming out way later than I initially planned. But here now, we're going to be talking about the chapter. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Okay, so this will be chapter 231, titled Taiyu and Asa. Now, before we actually get into the next chapter, in two chapters, Mission Yozakura will surpass Dr. Stone in terms of the initial run of chapter lengths, and then in about so we had 233, 234, 235, 236. So in the next four or five chapters, either way, Yozakura is going to surpass Dr. Stone in terms of overall chapter lengths. That is going to, it's kind of funny in that regard, because starting from Promised Neverland, then I did Dr. Stone, now I'm doing Yozakura, and each series has jumped up in terms of how long it's actually going to go for. And again, don't know how long Mission Yozakura is still going to go on for. I reckon still going to go around the 250 chapter mark, so we've still got about 29 chapters to go, because we are in the final battles here. Like, these are the final battles, unless like I've been saying, something's going to happen, like the premonition with Taiyu coming being defeated by Asa. That comes true, and what happens from the ramifications of that, because like I said, even though Yozakura is in its climax, I think Jump will want it to keep going just a little bit longer, because JJK's ending, Black Clover, it's moved to a different magazine. Under Don't Look might be potentially ending. Elusive Samurai could be potentially ended, because that author doesn't like to do long form series. And the biggest one, My Hero, ending at the beginning of August, and hopefully we will be doing a video on that for Control Chaos. I'm still waiting back to hear on what the guys want to say and what we want to do with that. So those are things that we want to tackle. But yeah, going back to the title of the chapter, Taiyu and Asa, and yeah, it does start off like that, but then it sort of shifts into Keigo's fight with Hulang. So it's kind of funny that they call it Taiyu and Asa when that doesn't take up all of the chapter. But I digress. So it starts off from the ending of the last chapter, where we have Cosmo's premonition for Taiyu being like, oh, okay, so it has to either be both of you, or one of you has to die. One has to die. Morning's glow star gleams. The two suns can't share down's glory. Whatever one says, or they both set, there can be only one sun. So essentially saying, like, look, you two cannot survive. You two cannot survive. Either you both go, or it's one of you. And Taiyu just activates his true spring blooming as his first move against Asa, and he's got and he says to it, and Taiyu reiterates, like, on the ship and back at the mansion, he used some kind of power to infect the target in a shell and immobilize them. So I guess it's kind of like Asa's main blooming is immobilization. That could be potentially what it is, or mobilization and negation. As Tao's like, oh, I'm not to worry about that. My true spring blooming can break through it. As he's powering up attack, and Asa is not doing anything. Asa is just there being like, oh, okay, he's coming at me, but I know I've got this. Like, Taiyu, you can come at me all you want, but I know I'm gonna be taking you down here. And Tao's even thinking the same thing. Like, I'll take him out in one hit. Organ Trade Blossom Fangs. But before he can even fire the punch at him, Asa does the Aizen thing, because if you remember back in Bleach, when Aizen was revealed to be the main villain of the first part of the first half of Bleach, or I guess the majority of Bleach, and Ichigo went to attack him and Aizen was just there, like, blocking with his figure. Kind of same thing here with Taiyu, just going to be like, oh, I'm coming to attack you, Asa. Oh, blocking you with my palm. It's like, taunt to the hand, Taiyu, because the face ain't listening, and Taiyu's just there like, Okay, wasn't expecting that. And Asa says, I don't want to damage any of you. I can be patient. I'll wait here, seated, until you give up and reiterate. As we have Asa using. I assume it's one. If I remember correctly, this is one of Futaba's abilities, cultural easterly wind. Yeah, I'm gonna check to see if this is actually one of Futaba's abilities. Okay, I'm a complete idiot because I literally see on page 5 as Asa is flinging Tayo back. He see Tayo remembering like, oh yeah, this is a technique from Futaba. So yeah, this is one of Futaba's blooming techniques. As he's able, as he's pushed back, and it's just like just trying to grip himself to the ground here. And Tayo continues to use an onslaught of attacks, but no matter what he's doing, he just can't hit Asa. He uses only Tarishu in a great shining sky, and he slashes Asa, but Asa's just like, oh, you can infuse your sword with that power too. You've trained hard. And Tayo's just there, like, as the smoke is soldering and no damage is being done on Asa. He's just completely bamboozled, just like, I definitely hit him, but it did no damage. That proves it, as expected, Asa can use multiple bloomings. So initially when I thought this, but before Asa explains it, it's like, I just thought like, and it's kind of ironic I mentioned My Hero earlier. It's because I thought like, oh my god, is Asa like the love child of All For One and Aizen? Now that's a scary image if I ever saw one, but no. Apparently what is going on here is completely different. As Tayo's like, oh, the unknown shell creating blooming Futaba's magnesium and my hardening, that's free now, but I'm sure he has more up his sleeve. And Asa's just like, so yeah, the bit where he was trying to slash at Asa but he couldn't. Tayo assumes like, oh, this is obviously to do with my hardening, but Ash is just like, oh, you're no fool. Surely you assume that I have other bloomings. Your true spring blooming allows you to assist, but only for a few minutes at a time. Oh, so wait, does Asa really have multiple bloomings? Is that it? Because it's pretty left up in the air here. No. So from what I'm seeing here, he's saying like, but I'm sure he has more up his sleeve, and as saying, you're no fool. Surely you would assume that I have other bloomings. Your true spoon blooming allows you to assist, but only for a few minutes. So wait, does Asa have multiple bloomings, or is it just like copies of them that he's modified? Yeah, I guess. Well, so let me know. Let me know in the comments, like, what you actually think of this. Like, does Asa have multiple bloomings, or is it just, like, a case of, like, he has the 3 bloomings that he has taken? I don't know. Let me know if I'm reading this incorrectly. But anyway, point is that, Tayo's true spring bloom is only going to last him a few minutes, and that's when, your strength fade, and that's when Tayo's strength fades, and that's when Asa is going to make his move. So Asa's just buying his time. It's like, oh, you can attack me all you want for true spring blooming, yeah, but I know your blooming is on a time limit here, so once it runs out, that's when I'm going to make my move before we get Momo's message of going on to Tayo and saying, to reiterate, it's entirely likely that even your true spring blooming won't affect Asa. With that in mind, I've provided you with several options. Which one you choose is up to you. So yeah, and that's really all we get from Tayo and Asa in this chapter. So again, kind of weird that it's called Tayo and Asa, and yet they're only half the focus of the chapter. But I guess you can't really call it anything else other than that. So anyway, we cut over to Shinzo and Keigo fighting Kazu, Hulang, and is it? Yeah. So it's Kazu, Alex, and Hulang as Alex is using Pterodorian palm drill, and Hulang is using Dario Falling Dragon. So basically using 2 wave attacks to target both Keigo and Shinzo, and they're just there like, oh, it's all yours, Shinzo, and yeah, and Keigo and So Keigo's saying that to Shinzo, and Shinzo's like, "Oh yeah, you've got it." As Keigo uses his blooming, uh, uh, yeah. So Keigo already has his blooming activated, and and it's explained later, but basically what he's trying to do is get Hulang in his facility so that he can use his simulation blooming to figure out, like, okay, what is actually going on? What is actually going on with you? So yeah, so what is happening here? They're basically separating them up. So we started off with Shinzo and Keigo versus Kazu, Alex, and Hulang, and now it's just going to be Shinzo versus Kazu and Alex, and Keigo versus Hulang, which again makes sense to split them all up so that they're all like, so that we're not jumbling back and forth between a lot of people in the same battle. It's like, okay, we know who we're focusing on for this battle, we know who we're focusing on for that battle. So they go on and say, "Oh, you split us up. You split us up. Are you sure Keigo will be okay on his own?" And which is what Alex is asking Shinzo, and Shinzo's just like, "Yeah, he'll be fine." Now, what say we settle things between ourselves? And it makes sense that Shinzo would go up against Alex, considering Alex forced him into a marriage with a arranged marriage, which didn't go through with his adopted daughter. So it makes sense that that's coming full circle. That it's Shinzo versus Alex here, and Alex just like, "Oh, good idea. Why don't we have a little fun?" And Ula's just like, "Oh, one-on-one, bold move. I thought you wanted to avoid a physical battle." And Keigo was just like, "Yeah, I really do want to do that, master, but then it's exactly why I can't. You're really, really good at hiding your heart. I have to get really close to using my simulation, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be using it on you to get inside your mind and bring everything to light of what is going on with you in this moment. Like, why on earth are you joining with Asa? Like, what your situation is going on here?" And Huran's just like, "Oh, you think you can do that?" And Keigo's just like, "Yeah, I know I can do that, because even without a simulation, I know everything about you. I've been around you since I was a kid, so I know everything about you. You know everything about me. So you can. And I know your very weakness here. Like, you can't stand snakes." As Keigo literally transforms himself into a giant snake over Hulang. So it's kind of like if Keigo ever went up against Koricho, he'll probably just turn himself into a giant spider, because ironically, even though Koricho uses steel spider, he hates spiders, the creature themselves. Very ironic there. And Keigo's just like, "Oh, ready, master, observe your number one student's proudest moment." And Hulang just gets the bear of him. It's like, "Yeah, I know I can't stand snakes, which is why every time I see them, I just swat them out of the way." And she literally does that to Keigo, and she's just like, "Oh, but it didn't hurt, did it? It was a fake. It was fake after all. So yeah, I know that's not a real snake, so it's not going to affect me in the same way that a real snake would do." But Keigo's just like, "Yeah, but it's your fault that my heart's torn to shreds already." And Hulang basically gives the Optimus Prime line of, "I thought you were made of sterner stud here. I thought you'd frail about more. Huh. But I'm glad you've grown into a fully grown adult, into a fine adult, right?" But Keigo's just like, "No, do you really think I'm all grown up? Then why haven't you told me anything? Because you're obviously hiding stuff from me, so I'm not grown up in your eyes if you can still keep secrets from me." Keigo carries on and says, "Oh, but I knew that no matter what, you'd never let me see your true self. So that's why only normal number one student or not, it'd be weird if you gush about yourself to people. And if someone wants to know, they've got to do the legal work themselves. So that's why I'll do it. That's why I'll become you essentially, and get to the bottom of what's going on with you, because everything's so that I won't have any regrets about what I am going to do to you. So here I come, master, taste the power of your best student." As Hulag is thinking back to all the times that she's with Keigo, and she's going, "Oh, from Mega Keigo into Super Keigo Festival, what looks like an attack is just their version." So yeah, nice job, Keigo, but I know you all too well, so I know what you're trying to do here. You're trying to distract me in a way that, yeah, I'm going to fall for it, but not this time. I've got the upper hand on you. But what she doesn't know is that Keigo actually has the upper hand on her because he knows her ultimate weakness, which we're going to find out in a little bit as she's continuing to think of herself like as she's continuing to think to herself like, oh, he's combining his attacks just like I taught him, but I'll take them all out at once. As we see her using her whip to just take out all the Keigo clothes that he had simulated around him, like basically creating the Keigo army to target her. But she was just like, no, I know you, so I'm just going to use all of them against you. But as she does that, she reveals to herself like, oh, Keigo's turned into a kid. Wait, what? What? And she's just giving that look of just like, huh? Oh. I know what you're doing here, Keigo. As Keigo goes on and says, Masters hate snakes, and she's a super strict taskmaster, but she's always kind to kids. So yeah, that is, much as Hulang will probably hate to admit it, she has the same weakness that Korichiro has. Like, when it comes to kids, it's just like, I can't really do anything to them. They're just too cute. They're too innocent. So Keigo is now a kid hanging on to Hulang, and as he's going on saying, it doesn't matter who, Master's not afraid to beat her students, and she abuses her power too. But children, she'll always hesitate. So. Really? She's a teacher and has students. Yeah, I think people would want to call the authorities on that if there's a teacher basically abusing her powers against her students. But at the same time, he goes on and says she's got a well-deserved rep for being cold-blooded, but that's her one total normal kindness of basically being like, oh, it's all right, kid, I'll look after them. I wonder, like, when does it turn from like, oh, don't worry about it, it's all right, kids, I'll protect you, to being like, right, train. When does it do that with the students? Like, what age does she flip from being like, oh, I want to protect you, to, right, you're going to be trained by me. Trained. But I digress. It would be interesting to find out exactly when that switch actually happens with her. But we'll continue on by having Keigo's thoughts be relayed to us, which are, I don't know what the reason behind that is, but I'm going to find. Oh, okay, so yeah, we are actually going to find out. It's like okay, why are you so protective of kids but never afraid to abuse your power when it comes to your students? So it's nice that we're actually going to get that, and we wrap up the chapter with Keigo's simulation as we see him going into Hulang's mind, seeing all the flashbacks with her and Keigo, as mini Keigo in her mind goes on and says, I'm sorry, Master, I didn't know it was important to you. So maybe something important that caused Hulang to have that switch with Keigo, make him be like, oh, okay, he's ultimately growing up so much now that he can become a student of mine. So it's time to get out the ultimate train. But yeah, that's where the chapter ends. So really not a lot to go off of on this chapter. I mean, it was very basic. It was just like, okay, we saw the Asa fight with Tayo, which is probably going to end disastrously for Tayo. Like, I am like 90% sure that premonition that Alpha had of Tayo at this point, of Tayo basically going down to Asa, I feel like that's going to come true in a roundabout way. Like, I don't feel like Tayo is going to die, but I can see him actually getting defeated, and maybe having his blooming stolen by Asa fully. That would be an interesting take away from it. Like when it's saying like one sun sets while the other rises. Maybe it's like, okay, one's powers are taken away from them while the others get gradually bigger. That could be a way to take it. And yeah, the only other thing that of note to take here from the chapter is separating the Shinzo and Keigo fights. Now, what happens in Hulang's mind, that remains to be seen. I basically have no idea how messed up this mind reading of Keigo is actually going to be when he looks into Hulang's mind. I have no idea, but it'll be interesting to see what theories people come up with in the comments, and by people I mean mainly Party Jams. I'm sure Party Jams has some ideas of what's probably going to go on in this mind reading between Keigo and Hulang. But anyway, guys, what did you think of this chapter? Let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And this will be Lasher Luke signing off. Later, guys.